You're in a meeting. You present your idea, the one you've spent nights perfecting. And then, someone in front of everyone tears it apart with a single criticism. Your face burns. Your mind goes blank. The silence in the room is a merciless judge. Most people shrink in this moment, but a Machiavellian strategist. He smiles internally. He hasn't been attacked. He's just been handed a map to victory. This is the visceral pain of public humiliation, of intellectual invalidation. It's a poison that not only kills your idea in the present, but infects your future ambitions. You feel your status evaporate. Your self-confidence, once in armor, now seems to have cracks all over it. The worst part? The hesitation that sets in? In the next meeting, you stay silent. The next opportunity, you hold back. You become a shadow of your potential, paralyzed by the fear of being exposed again. This isn't just a bad feeling. It's the beginning of your stagnation. In this video, I will teach you the art of turning that poison into the antidote that makes your arguments immortal. You won't learn to deflect, ignore, or defend against criticism. You will learn to actively hunt. I will show you how to use your opponent's objections and attacks as raw material to forge arguments so unbreakable that they will have no choice but to retreat. Cementing your authority, Machiavelli understood a fundamental truth that most people ignore. Power doesn't come from being always right. It comes from obtaining the best information, especially from hostile sources. Staying until the end means understanding how to apply this ruthless wisdom to ensure you are never again the victim in a meeting room. This paralysis extends beyond the boardroom. It follows you home. You replay the scene in your head, thinking of all the things you should have said. Frustration turns into resentment. You start to see colleagues as potential threats, not collaborators. The work environment becomes a minefield. This defensive mindset prevents you from taking risks, from innovating, and ultimately from leading. Become reliable, but invisible. And in the game of power, invisibility is the same as irrelevance. But why is this reaction so universal and so potent? It's not because you are weak. It's because your brain is wired to react to intellectual invalidation the same way it reacts to a physical threat. It's a matter of tribal status. But the real hidden reason is a failure of perception. You believe? The goal of the game is to protect your idea. That is the fundamental mistake. The true goal is to achieve your objective, and your idea is just a tool for that. And sometimes, that tool needs to be sharpened on the whetstone of an adversary. Conventional self-help offers weak and dangerous advice. Ignore the haters. Don't take it personally. Why does this fail? Because ignoring a criticism is like ignoring a warning light on your car's dashboard. You might feel better for a moment, but you are heading for disaster. The Machiavellian approach is the opposite. Take it strategically, never personally. The criticism is not an insult. It is a free diagnosis of your weakness. So how do we make this shift? How do we stop acting like frightened prey and start thinking like a hunter? We begin by embracing a principle that seems, at first glance, completely illogical. The principle is this: your fiercest critic is, in fact, your most valuable and cheapest consultant. Think about it. Someone is dedicating their time and mental energy to find the flaws in your plan. They're doing the heavy lifting of stress testing your defenses for free. While your friends offer you comfort, your enemy offers you clarity. You just need to have the courage to listen. Machiavelli warned his prince about the danger of flatterers. The yes-men who isolate a leader in their own echo chamber until reality destroys them. He advised the ruler to choose wise men and give them the freedom to speak the truth, however harsh. He knew that the unpleasant truth from an honest critic was worth more than 1,000 compliments from a self-serving flatterer. Today, the court is your office, your market, your field of play, and the truth remains the same. The person who challenges you, who points out the risk you minimized or the data you ignored, is giving you the chance to strengthen your position before it's tested in the real world, where the consequences are catastrophic. Imagine you're presenting a business expansion plan. A rival aggressively points out that your logistics cost projection is dangerously underestimated. The standard reaction is to defend your numbers. The Machiavellian reaction is to say, "Thank you for pointing that out." Internally, you don't feel gratitude. You feel the thrill of discovery. You just found a hole in your armor before the battle. Now you can patch it and make your plan truly bulletproof. The first technique is the strategic autopsy, and faced with a criticism, your first task is to dissect it coldly. You must separate the critic's intent, which may be malicious, from the information in the criticism, which is almost always valuable. This works because it shifts your brain activity. From the center of fear to the center of logic, you regain control. It's a 3-question process. Get a notebook, call it your critique journal, and for every attack you receive, write down the answers. First, what real vulnerability does this criticism expose in my plan? Ignore the tone, ignore the insult. Where's the truth, even if it's only 10%? Second, what is the critic's fear or interest that motivates this objection? Is he afraid of losing resources? Status? Does your success reveal his inertia? And third, how can I use this information to anticipate future objections? This criticism is an early warning. The main trap here is to get carried away by the messenger and ignore the message. The truth is the truth, no matter the source. Once you've extracted the valuable information, the next maneuver is argument appropriation. Instead of opposing the force of the criticism, you absorb it and make it your own. You effectively steal your critic's weapon. This is psychologically disarming. He expected resistance. You offer agreement. You demonstrate a superior level of strategic thinking, showing that you not only considered his risk, but have already planned a solution. The formula is simple and devastating. Listen to the criticism. Pause, then say, "You raise an excellent point about risk X. That's exactly why our proposal already includes countermeasure Y, to ensure that risk is neutralized. For example, you're right to be concerned about the budget. That's why on page 5, we detailed a phased implementation plan that mitigates that exact initial financial risk." You took his concern and turned it into a strength of your plan. The trap is using this technique without having done the homework. This is not a bluff. If you say you have a countermeasure, you must have it. But what if the criticism is vague, or if you don't have a solution ready? That's when we use the Socratic reversal. Here you use questions to transfer the burden of proof and force the critic to defend their own criticism. It's much easier to attack an idea than to build one. By asking an intelligent question, you shift the cognitive load to your opponent. Now, the criticism often falls apart under the weight of having to become a viable solution. When a critic says, "This will never work," instead of saying, "Yes, it will," you calmly ask, "That's a valid concern. What would be your suggestion to solve the problem that your alternative approach would create?" Or, "Interesting point about X. How do you suggest we balance that with the need for Y?" You are not defending yourself. You are inviting them into the complex arena of problem solving. The trap is asking questions that sound like an attack. The power lies in feigned curiosity. Let them get entangled in their own contradictions. Don't push them. Just give them the rope. Let's recap the arsenal you've just acquired. You no longer fear criticism. First, you perform the strategic autopsy. Second, you use argument appropriation. And third, you apply the Socratic reversal. Don't defend your idea. Force them to build a better one. This is about more than winning a debate. It's a philosophy of power and resilience. The real world doesn't reward perfect ideas. It rewards antifragile ideas, ideas that get stronger from attacks. By embracing criticism, you are forging a character immune to the poison of invalidation. You are learning that true power is not being untouchable, but being able to turn every blow you receive into more strength. Your journey begins now. Take your new critique. Journal and analyze the last significant objection you received. Do it not with yesterday's anger, but with the coldness of a strategist. This is your first step in turning pain into power. Now, I want to hear from you. What was the most devastating criticism you ever received? And thinking now, how would you respond using one of these strategies? Leave your answer in the comments below. The best strategic analyzes will be featured. And if you're ready to stop playing by others' rules and start dictating your own, subscribe to Mind and Metal and watch our video on the 5 laws of a powerful reputation. The battle for your mind is always happening. It's time you started winning.